New developments tonight regarding the once secret Pentagon program to investigate UFO sightings. The former Nevada Senator Harry Reid, a driving force behind a $22 million program, said today that he's relieved the details have finally been made public. I'm very glad, he said, because now we have scientific evidence. Scientific evidence? What exactly is the evidence? Out front now, Chris Mellon, the former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Intelligence. He is now working with Luis Elizondo, who ran that secret program. Thanks very much for taking the time tonight.
Pleasure to be here, Jim.
So, Chris, I know you spent years investigating these unusual incidents. You heard former Senator Harry Reid speaking out about how important this program was. Can you tell our viewers, what exactly did you discover?
Well, I think the best case that we can talk about publicly at this time, the most compelling evidence, which goes directly to the heart of your question, Jim, involves the Nimitz case in 2004. And what I think people need to understand about this is a few of the details. So the USS Princeton is
to be clear, and we had the pilot on last night. This is an encounter, I think, off the Pacific coast, sort of a fast-moving object.
Correct. So what occurred was the carrier battle group was working up for an overseas deployment. Over a period of 2 weeks, there were numerous instances in which unidentified aircraft were approaching the carrier battle group, descending from over 80,000 feet at supersonic speeds, sometimes hovering, stopping at 20,000 feet, sometimes descending to 50 feet above the ocean. On November 14th, two F-18s that were aloft, which have two aviators each, were in close proximity and were vectored to the target, which was being tracked by the most advanced naval radar in the world, the Aegis-class Spy-1 radar, simultaneously being tracked by an airborne command post. These naval aviators, who have drug clearances, top secret clearances, and are drug tested and so forth, trained observers, observed the object, got as close as they could. It performed in a manner that exceeds anything we possess, or even probably our understanding of aeronautics and physics at the present time.
And to be clear,
so we had multiple.
To be clear, when you see a sighting like this, you believe that the most likely explanation is that it therefore came from another world?
You know, that's speculation. I think the thing that we need to do is get serious about finding answers. Speculation is cheap and easy. What we need is more hard data, and we need to approach this scientifically. What was so compelling about that incident was the multiple radar and other sensor system confirmation of what the pilots were reporting at the same time. So it's an open question, and that is the burning question. Where are these things coming from? How do they work? And what are their intentions?
Let me ask you this, because I'm sure you've talked to many skeptics, both inside and outside the Defense Department on this. You have a carrier group out there. I mean, isn't it equally likely, arguably more likely, that this could be some new technology that a U.S. adversary has, perhaps to monitor U.S. warplanes off the coast, that kind of thing? I mean, there are other explanations.
That's a great and natural question, Jim. I can tell you this, as a habit and as a rule, we don't test top secret aircraft in the vicinity of our own carrier battle groups, and we don't then try to intercept them and ask the pilots on board if they're carrying live ordnance. You know, the Defense Department is a lot more sophisticated than that in the first place. Secondly, there are numerous such incidents, and all of the people I know, and I served on a committee that looked at all these programs and you know, reviewed them for funding purposes and so forth. I don't believe that there's anything like that in our inventory, and we certainly don't operate in that manner.
Well, could it be, I mean, I'm just saying, could it be a Russia or a China or an adversary that is testing it around U.S. military equipment?
If it is, we sure need to know that and find that out, and that's all the more reason to get serious about that. That's a possibility, because at this point we still don't know. Mm-hmm. What we do know is there is something very real there, and it is happening, and it's continuing to happen. And frankly, I don't think there is anyone at a high level who has been tagged with the responsibility and the authority necessary to get to the bottom of this. And I think that was ultimately what led to Lou Elizondo's frustration after years of trying to pursue this and develop the information that's required.
Well, listen, it's a remarkable story, and Chris, we appreciate you telling us the story.
My pleasure, and thank you all for giving airtime to an issue that until very recently it wasn't possible to talk about publicly. And I think that's an important first step, because until the public engages, we're really not going to make progress and headway. It's a democracy. People have to be invested and care about it for something like this to really be understood.
All right, you have a good night. Happy holidays.